but we will be doing that now. And Karen, if you want to start off. So Richard, I'm just going to open up the floor. People here will be raising their hand in the video. They may be raising it through Zoom, and you can just pick on them, take their questions, and answer with your perspective.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, Karen, up to you guys.
Yeah, I have a question. It's now you are making state hypnosis, and what do you do if a person you have picked out to put on the stage and they're not going into the state of hypnosis? Do you have some trick to put them there, or do you just switch that person with another one?
Okay, so what happens if they don't get hypnotized on stage? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Yes.
I just get rid of them. I get rid of them. I don't keep anybody that's not in the level of hypnosis I want them for, because there's too many good candidates and I don't want to have a bad candidate on stage. So usually I'll just say, you know what, this isn't for you today. Come back some other time when you're feeling more receptive.
Okay, so sometimes you are receptive and sometimes you are not, or is that what you're saying? It's not that some are receptive and some are not.
They're always going to be receptive if they choose to be. It's kind of up to them. I'm just not going to have them on the stage if they're not willing to cooperate.
Okay.
It's just not worth my time. It's not worth my time. There's too many good candidates, too many good volunteers. But I'll always say, you know, that it doesn't mean you cannot get hypnotized. You're just not in the right frame of mind, perhaps, to listen to what I'm saying. So come back when you're willing to listen. It's always going to be their fault. It's never mine. You know, it's never my problem. It's always theirs.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, so we have Ronnie raising his hand.
Cool.
John Taylor also raised his hand through the app, so we can head to him next. Ronnie, what's your question, man?
Yeah, so I didn't know you, Richard, since I'm a newbie in hypnosis, and so I searched you on YouTube, and specifically talking about this, there was a show that you gave in, and there was this singer that wasn't allowing herself going to hypnosis, but you made a very fun show in which you would put it back. So it was super fun to see that. And regarding the question of Karen right now, is so what happened in that situation? You were able to address or find out that she was a possible candidate and she would be still coming up, and were you able to decipher that, and so you kept her on stage, or what happened?
Yeah, so the difference between I guess the first scenario and the second one is with the lady in the video that you're referring to that's on the YouTube channel. I knew that she was hypnotized, so that's the big difference. I knew she was hypnotized. I knew she wasn't paying attention, you know, at the beginning of the show. But once I did the you know, the induction, the hypnotic trance, I knew she was hypnotized. So all I had to do with her actually was just keep giving her a reinduction. So she was in a hypnotic trance. She just didn't know she was. You know, she didn't know she was hypnotized. So when she came out of hypnosis, the audience thought she was out of hypnosis, right? She thought she was out of hypnosis. I knew she was in hypnosis. So that's why it became part of the show, because all I had to do was use theatrics and a little bit of stagecraft and put her right back in, even though she was already in, if that makes sense. Whereas somebody that's actually refusing and resisting, you know, at the beginning, then I'm going to remove them from the stage. That's like a different situation.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It definitely makes sense. A second question on this, it would be, for example, so would she be on the same level of a deep hypnosis as the other ones, or she was a little bit lower?
Was she? Was the question? Was she lower?
lower in the sense of the depthness of her hypnosis, because she was coming up, she was coming back and back.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny? That's a great question, by the way. And what's funny is she was actually deeper, because every time I was re-inducing her, she's actually getting deeper. She just doesn't know it. So perhaps, you know, she just has an attention span of what appeared to be 8 to 10 seconds. You know, it wasn't very much, but every time she went in even harder, you know, even deeper. And so she was somebody that would be very good to use for a post-hypnotic suggestion. You know, after the show's finished, I would be able to plant a suggestion in her mind, a trigger word, and she would be deeper, so she'd be able to react to the trigger word. So it's quite the opposite. She looks like she's lighter, but she's not. She's the opposite. She's actually deeper.
Okay, thanks. Very good.
Yeah.
I know John Taylor had a question, I believe. So everyone,
right.
when you're not asking a question,
Hi.
your mic's muted, just so it's easier to hear. But John, go ahead, man.
Yeah, sorry, I coughed in the microphone before. Hi, Richard. Hi, Tyler. How you doing?
Hey,
yeah,
John.
Thanks for doing this. How you going? I just had a couple of questions, very short ones. Should be pretty easy to answer. When you're doing a cruise ship and you're doing like a 45, 50-minute show or something, how many skits would you get to do in that time?
Oh, good question. You know, I haven't really given that much thought, to be perfectly honest with you. What I tend to do is I have what's called a running sheet, and on the running sheet, because you have to give it to the sound technician, you have to give the sound and lighting person. So the person backstage gets one, and then the overall manager of the house gets one. But you know, what we do is a very impromptu show. You know, we actually don't know exactly what's going to happen, because we don't know what kind of volunteers we're going to get. So it's really sort of improv.
Maybe another question might be that's a bit easier then. In regards to that would be how much time would you allow for your induction, and how much time would you allow, say, for the skits, like 20 minutes, 25, 30, whatever, you know?
Yeah. So if you're mapping out a show, so most shows on cruise ships and fairgrounds and pretty much any venue, you want to aim for a solid 1 hour. So that's kind of, the cruise ships are a little bit tighter because they want you off the stage after 45 minutes. But what I tend to do is I tend to allow a little bit more time for my pre-talk. So I'm going to allow at least 10 minutes for the pre-talk, for the introduction to the show, just because what I've learned is the stronger the pre-talk at the beginning of the show, the shorter the induction can be. The induction doesn't have to be long at all. It's the pre-talk that needs to be thorough, because if it's thorough, you're taking away all the misconceptions people have about what's going to happen, and then the induction can be quite short. So roughly speaking, the pre-talk from start to finish, I use the hypno spiral as well, and a couple of illusions. So from start to finish, the pre-talk's about 10 minutes. The induction is 5 to 7 minutes, sort of maximum. And then we're straight into the routines. So the main bulk of time is the routines. Yeah,
so about 25 minutes of routine, something like that.
I would say, about 25 to 30 minutes, roughly. And it also depends on the theater. It depends on the age range. You know, sometimes on cruise ships, it's a lot older. It's an older crowd. And the consideration is it takes them longer to get up on stage. They move slowly. So you have to allow for getting volunteers to actually come up onto the stage. And if the ship's moving, and you know, the theater is holding about 2,800 people in the theater. It's a big theater. You want to build in the
One more
time.
question. Sorry to cut you short. So you can keep going. Sorry.
Yeah. So all I was saying was that depending on the theater, the age range, and the layout will depend on the site. You know, the length of my pre-talk and induction.
Okay. And you mentioned about the age. I had just one more question for you in regards to that. Sorry. Do you keep your subjects on a cruise ship seated down in the chairs the whole time, or would you get them moving around or walking around out of chairs, or a bit of both? Or what?
Personally, I like them out of their chairs. I like them up and out.
Yep.
So I'll turn you know, a senior, let's just say somebody that's 65 plus, you know, 70 plus. I'll turn them into an international hip hop star, or I'll have them, you know, international dance star, the best dancer that ever lived, or I'll turn them into, you know, King Chip of the Chippendales, world famous belly dancer. You know, I like to have them out of the chairs because the audience wants to see movement on the stage. You know, they want to see people moving around rather than just sitting down.
Yep.
So it doesn't really matter what age they are, but I like to have them moving and dynamic.
Okay, thanks for that. Thanks for your time.
No problems. You're welcome. Yeah, absolutely. It's very, you know, hypnosis shows, you know, when you're learning stage hypnosis, it's interesting because you're trying, you know, you're learning the mechanics and trying to work out, you know, your timings and the time frames, but then once you've been doing this for a while, you'll realize it all goes out the window, and actually it's a very fluid. Hypnosis shows are better when they're sort of in the moment and fluid rather than planned out. But when you're first learning, you need to obviously have a plan, but the art is being able to bend with the plan. So an excellent way to learn stage hypnosis is also to learn improv and to take improv, you know, classes, stand-up comedy and improv, because it really helps you think on your feet when something happens, you know.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
So so going in regards to that, hope you don't mind me asking another question.
No, not at all.
This will be the last one I ask.
Ask as many as you want.
Okay, so with your music cues and things like that, you might have a set running order, but depending on how you get your subjects up and who's playing along, or if you see someone doing something out of the ordinary or that you can use, you're going to improv a bit, and you might go off track and stuff the cue and just go off, you know, skip a music cue, or if they're not playing along, you might want to go to a different one, or so you just basically freestyle a little bit, basically, but don't be too set in your routines and your music, is what you're saying.
Yeah, 100%. You need a structure and you need a plan, because best case scenario is you get great volunteers, it's a great show, you can stick to your plan, everything's working wonderfully, right? But you also need to have a plan B where you need to like sort of bend with the volunteers. Because let's just say, for example, you get you have a routine designed that's going to focus in on, I use an undercover secret spy, an agent, member of the FBI. That's one of my routines. They do a forward roll, they get their badge out, get their gun out, shout, "Freeze, FBI!" And then they go and hide. You know, normally it's behind the curtain or to the side of the stage, or depending on who you get, it can actually be an awesome routine. Now, I can swap that out. If I have a lady that says to me that she's a teacher, or that's her occupation, or, you know, she's a bit of an older lady and got quite a big presence, I can swap out the FBI agent for the lady that gets upset when people laugh in the audience. I'll interchange them just depending on who's up there, you know, who's on stage. You know, if I get a, you know, so it just depends on the volunteers, really.
Right. And with your music cues, you wouldn't use for every single thing, would you?
No, you know what I've learned about this is some hypnotists do. They have music, and every single bit of every single piece of the show has music underneath it. What I've learned is that some audience members don't like music behind routines. They actually like it to be more poetry, if you will, and more sort of very easy to understand, especially if English is not their first language. So I do about half and half. Half my routines have no music, the other half have music. It's about 50-50.
And do you control the music yourself, or have someone else do it? Sound guy do it?
Yeah. So the best case scenario is doing it yourself. And if you're on a stage or in a theater, they're going to have like an input box, a direct input box. It's called a DI box. And then what I do is I plug in a device that's called Audio Ape. It's a Audio Ape, APE. Yeah, it's really, really fantastic. And then I'll just use my remote control that sits in my pocket of my jacket or in my hand, and I'll just run the show cues, you know, from my remote control. I don't even try and hide it. I just have it right there in my hand. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. All right, I'll leave the question to someone. Very much.
Awesome. I'm going to cut in real quick. I believe I just linked to Audio Ape if you're interested in that for your own stage performance.
Oh, well done.
I do know that Alan raised his hand for a question, so we're going to pass it over to you right now, man.
Okay, great. Hi. I might have missed the introduction, so I don't know if this got answered. How did you get your first gig?
Ooh, that's a great question. It's always the you know, I already assumed that I was a world famous incredible hypnotist right out of the gate. So one of the things that I believe in is the mindset is everything. So when you're trying to get a first gig, the bookers don't necessarily know how much experience you have, you know, what level of training you've had. So if you look polished and good enough on the front end, then they're going to hire you. So I think nowadays, especially, promo is everything. And I know Tyler does a good job of this. It's getting the video sizzle reels. So video really promotes and sells your show. One of the tricks is, well, what if you've never been on a stage before, right? So how are you going to show them stage footage if you've never been on a stage? I mean, how are you going to get it? And one of the tricks is you go to either another hypnosis show or you go to Vegas and you just ask permission to stand on somebody's stage. So it's not you necessarily performing on a stage. It's just a little trick that, you know, get a show jacket or a nice shirt, hold a microphone, and it looks as if you're on a stage doing a show when in fact you're not. But it's the way to get the first booking, to prove that, look, here's what I look like. It's like, here's what I look like on a stage. Because you can show people all day long, here's what I look like on a street, you know, doing street hypnosis. They're not going to hire you for that. What you look like on a stage, start to actually ask permission to go on other people's stages. Most people won't say no, and that's one of the ways in. And video is really important, having good video. But you know, never really tell them that you haven't been doing this for a long time or that you're new to this. You don't have to lie, but you can say that you've been interested in hypnosis for many years, or you've been involved in hypnosis for many years. But never lie. I mean, if they ask you, well, how many shows have you done? Then obviously you're going to need to tell them that you've done a number of shows, which you might have done, including practice shows, all of which went exceptionally well.
Yeah. If I could add one point to that, one thing that I found that really helped me when I first started, like, how did I have credibility? Well, I started calling myself an expert hypnotist. I maybe hypnotized 3 people.
There you go.
But
yeah,
how I knew I was an expert, even though I've only hypnotized 3 people at this point, was that an expert knows more than 99% of the population. If you were on this call and this was your first call ever and you haven't watched any of the videos, you are already an expert in hypnosis by what was just discussed. Okay, so you believe that and you start calling yourself an expert hypnotist, the footage is gonna start rolling up.
Yeah, and you know, one of the things I say, you're not faking it until you make it. You're acting as if you already are, and I think there's a big difference. You know, faking it till you make it is cheating, deceiving, and faking. But if you act as if, then your mind has already changed, and he just follows, and you become obviously best hypnotist that you believe yourself to be, because the mind's already achieved it, right? So I agree with you. Getting the first show was, I already knew that I needed to be on big stages. It just would be an injustice if I wasn't. Therefore, there's no convincing. They just need me for their events. And I kind of just hit the ground running like that, and never questioned or second doubted. I've never dropped my prices. My prices have always been my prices. I don't engage in multiple quotes. You know, if somebody's got like quotes from other hypnotists, let them have it. I'm not interested in lowering my rates, and that normally pushes through and gets the bookings. Yeah, people can see, you know, that you're authentic and you charge what you're charging, because that's what you're worth. That's what you honestly believe you're worth. Yeah.
Okay. The other question I had is, I heard you talking about people in their 60s doing things on the stage. What do you kind of a specific kind of insurance that you use just in case one of these senior citizens does a forward roll off the stage or something?
Yeah, I have a $2 million liability insurance. So
Okay.
most people require $1 million. I get $2 million. And I get it from NAME, which is the National Association of Mobile Entertainers. I think it's like $150 a year. It's worth every penny.
Oh, wow.
For stage hypnosis insurance. There's only 2 providers that I know of in the United States that actually offer stage insurance, and people keep making mistakes on stage, and it's making insurance companies very nervous. So I think it's important to don't drop people on the floor and things like that on stage, because insurance companies are probably going to drop you if they see you do that. And
if they come up with a cane or crutches, you don't have them doing cartwheels?
No, and that's part of the reason why the pre-talk, a lot of people make the mistake of skipping the pre-talk because they just want to get to the funny bits, and a lot of people will tell you, it's the race to see how fast you can get to the laughter and the comedy. But if you forget some of the elements of the pre-talk, you leave yourself wide open if somebody gets hurt and somebody gets injured. So one of the things I do is I record all my shows, every one of them, and then I give everybody the same directions. Don't come up on stage if you have any injuries, illnesses, ailments, complaints. You can blame on me or the cruise line, for example. Do not come up if your doctor told you that you shouldn't. And then I always say, do not come up, not because your doctor told you, but because you deep down know you should not be in a show like this. And that covers all bases, So don't come up if you have any of those issues. I don't hypnotize anybody under the age of 16 anymore, just because of the way society's moved. It's a little bit more of a sensitive society these days. So 16 years or older must want to be in the show, must have consent between 16 and 18 of a parent. And that way you're pretty, you're covered.
Makes sense. Great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problems.
Awesome. So before we hop over, anything you want to say right now?
No, I was just saying someone's got a lovely cat over there. I think it's, can't see the first name. Is it Rory? Nice cat, man.
So
Just put it down.
Before someone else goes ahead and asks a question, and there's some people who haven't yet, so I'm going to encourage you to. 2 quick announcements. One is actually a question for you, Richard. The first one is, half the people here don't have their faces showing. And I would love for you guys to join us and show your beautiful faces so we can have a more genuine human interaction. And as for my question, I'm curious how you got started in hypnosis.
By accident, really. I was a police officer in England, in the United Kingdom, and I was a detective. And my boss told me that I had to go on a class. You have to go on like 2 classes every year. One is baton training, which I hated. And then the other one is detective investigating sort of training. And he comes in the office one day and says, you got to go on an NLP training class. And I'm like, what the hell's that? And in the mid 90s, he's like neuro-linguistical programming. There's some big guy called Tony Robbins using it. So we're going to use it to fight crime. And that was my introduction to it. And I remember getting on this class actually with Richard Bandler. So I got it right from the master himself. And I'm in this class, and they were teaching us just little Jedi tricks, hypnotizing people, rapid inductions, and I was just hooked. So I would go back to the police station and hypnotize my colleagues, anybody that could breathe, and anybody that was moving, that wanted to experience hypnosis. I was all over them. And it was all as a result of actually being told I had to take a class.
That's awesome.
It was cool.
That's awesome, dude. I appreciate you sharing that. And we got 4 more cameras turned on during that time. So welcome, guys.
Hey, look at that.
We have 5 more to go. I think we can do it. You guys can gradually turn on. Now, someone who has not asked a question, I'm going to give you the opportunity to visually raise your hand if you would like to. If not, we're just going to pick someone. But if you have a question, raise your hand. All right, man. The floor is yours.
Thanks, Richard. Loving the content, mate.
How are you, brother? Good to see you.
Good, brother. So you focus on the pre-talk. Where could we go to get some detail on the pre-talk? Because that's something I've definitely overlooked, and I've helped 4 clients with smoking, to give up smoking, and definitely the pre-talk, I could focus more on that to give them a bit more idea on what to expect.
Yeah. You know, it's to me, I've just learned along the way that you have to get rid of all their misconceptions. You have to prove that you're an expert to them real quickly. You have to show them some kind of phenomenon. You know, they need to believe that what you're about to do exists and is in fact true. So I've just designed what I call patters, you know, bursts of scripts. So for example, one of them would be specifically to a high school. You can't get stuck in hypnosis. If you don't hear the sound of my voice for 5 minutes or more, you will naturally emerge from hypnosis. Imagine as if an invisible fence has been placed in this venue. The minute you cross the fence, all hypnosis has ended. So that's my, you can't get stuck in hypnosis patter, right? So if you don't say that, people actually do get stuck in hypnosis and it becomes a real pain. So what I do is I just build these patters in. Another one would be block out all the sounds around you out as if they no longer exist, and you're only intently concerned about my voice and my voice only. I'll ask you to do two things. One is breathe, and the second one is listen to my voice. These are just patterns that I've developed. I did write a book. It's been a few years, but it's in the book, and it's called Secrets of the Stage Revealed, The Guide to Hypnosis and Stage Hypnotism. It's on Amazon. It came out in 2011, but that does have these patterns in the book. It's a little bit on the outdated side. It needs to be updated, but it's still, that would be one place to get the patterns. And then from a clinical point of view, the Omni Hypnosis Center is an excellent resource as well. They have like a book containing all the patterns that was written by Marczell Klein. And that one's good for your hypnotherapy clients, for your stop smoking, your weight loss.
Nice.
You know, yeah. I tend to always lead with what they always imagine it to be. So the first and foremost, people think hypnosis is fake, right? There's people sitting in the audience that just think that hypnosis is fake. It's all BS, and I'm just going to make them do weird stuff, or I pay them to do this, you know, do this. And that's the first thing that's normally always on their mind. So that's the thing I tackle the first, because it's the first thing that's blocking them from being able to enjoy the show.
Yeah.
You know,
and just
one more therapy.
One more question, man. Your favorite rapid induction?
Oh, I just like the handshake interrupt. That's always my go-to. I love it. I like the handshake, you know, the handshake induction. So that's number one. I don't know what this one's called, but also staring at the hand and tapping you on the forehead. I like that one. That probably has a fancy name for it. And then if I'm sitting down, it's the hand drop, you know, pressing down on my hand, press, 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 and move your hand away. And then that's the hand drop induction. Yeah. So if I'm standing up, it's the handshake, pattern interrupt, sleep. I'll tug them right off balance. It's funny because I've been doing it a long time and people go, man, you're pulling their arms right out of their sockets. You know, it's not like that. It just looks like that, but it's not. And I'm sure you guys that do that will know you're not really yanking their arm out of their socket. It's more of a flick. It's a flick downwards, sends a shock to their brain, and then you have 3 to 6 seconds to give them a suggestion. So I love the hand drop, the handshake interrupt.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, man.
Cool. Anytime.
Awesome. Alan, go ahead, man. I haven't heard from you yet.
Awesome, man. Hey, Richard. Great to hear you, bro.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic, man. So my question is, what's the best way to qualify somebody to hypnotize him? Like, if it's a good hypnosis subject. Because sometimes I'm trying to hypnotize people and they're like, yeah, sure, let's try it, but they're not really cooperating.
Yeah. You know, that's, you know, you end up knowing those that are wasting your time fairly early on just by practice. And typically, I always like to say to people, look, I don't have anything to prove. You're actually proving it to yourself. You know, so I'm not the one that's being tested here. It's you. So if you want hypnosis to happen, it's going to happen anyway. And if you don't want it, you already know that you don't want it. But I'm not going to test you. So it's not like a case of trying hypnosis. You either will or you won't. So what do you want to do? Do you want to be hypnotized or don't you? Because if it's yes, you will. And if you don't, you won't. There's no gray area and there's nothing in the middle. So that's the kind of the way I initially assess them. They've got to be all in. They've got to be invested 100% all in, not jerking me around or anything like that. And then I kind of set the tone that, look, it's a privilege for me to hypnotize you. It's a privilege for you to experience this. It's something you'll never forget. It's something you'll experience and you'll remember for the rest of your life. You really will, especially if it's the first time you've experienced this. So if you're telling me you're ready, we'll do it and you'll experience it. But if you're not ready, hey, it doesn't matter. You know, I think when you do that pre-talk initially, it sows the seed that you're no nonsense and you're not messing around. So it's all about your approach and your command of their situation. And I think command and control is really important. A lot of hypnotists come across looking a bit timid, a little frail, a little bit worried, and it translates in body language and, you know, the way you're talking. But the way I do it is kind of like, you know, you will get hypnotized if I shake your hand. There's just no failure here. And then I always move them around. So I take hold of their hand and it's almost like a compliance thing. And I kind of drag them around a little bit just because they're mine. I own them, right? And I start to exert my authority on them. And if they start tugging away, then they're not ready. So that's another way to sort of discover it.
You basically test the responsiveness.
Yeah. I also stand very close to them initially to see what they're going to do. I just like to, it's not even intimidation. It's the wrong word. It's compliance. We're in the business of command and control and compliance. So if somebody wants to be hypnotized, I'm going to get their compliance. I'm going to make them feel uneasy, and I'm going to put them on the spot. And I think, you know, those that aren't ready don't want any of that. They back off. They don't want any of that. And those that are ready for it are ready to submit. And I think hypnosis is all about submitting to the process. You know, no reservations. And that's when you're always successful. So it's kind of a strange answer because if I remotely think somebody is putting me to the test, I'm not going to hypnotize them. If I think that they're saying, go on, try it on me, try it on me, try it on me, I'm like, you know what? No, go away.
Yeah,
come back when you're ready.
Yeah. I like it, man.
I don't want to be tested by anybody because I have a saying, you know, I don't have to prove anything to you because I've already proved it to myself. I'm patting myself on the back every single day because I've been hypnotized and I know what it feels like. How would you like to pat yourself on the back and get hypnotized? And then let me know when you're ready. Let me know when you're ready. You know, so that's. Oh,
I see.
Hang on a second.
And I have another real quick question. It's probably just me, but I already hypnotized a couple of people. So for example, like the finger stuck, forget the name, some simple stuff, you know, all this kind. And why does it seem to me suddenly like it's some kind of silly pretend game? Sometimes.
Why does it feel like that to you?
Yeah. Like after, like before I knew how to hypnotize, I was like, oh my God, it looks so cool and empower the mind. And now after I know, it's like, it looks to me like kind of just like a pretend game. Like a game of pretending.
You know, I'm going to give you a really big tip that I think this is so important, especially when you're first starting out. You should have some kind of journal or a notebook, something, right? And write down when you first saw hypnosis, street hypnosis or whatever it was, write down what it felt like. Write down what it felt like. Did it blow you away? Did you go, holy shit, look at this? I mean, was it really a mind-blowing experience when you saw like some of Tyler's videos or, you know, you saw people getting hypnotized? Because never forget that feeling of what that initial thought was, because that's what the people are feeling and thinking in your audience or on the street. And it's easy for us to lose sight of it. And like, I stopped using magnetic fingers just because I just think it's unnecessary. But then I'll go back and look at my original, you know, notes, and I'll go, you know what? I remember when I first saw that, it was mind blowing that people could not unstick their fingers it was mind blowing. So the other day I did it I did the hand clasp, you know, in the theater where your palm of your hands are stuck together.
Mm-hmm.
Because I thought, you know, I haven't done it for a while. Let's see what happens. You know, half the audience stood up and everybody was like, oh my God, their hands are stuck. This is crazy. They can't move their hands. Their hands are stuck. And so we forget just how mind-blowing that is. It's mind-blowing is what it is.
So I guess I just forgot how mind-blowing it is.
Yeah, so you need to write it down. Just remember what it felt like when you first saw it or experienced it, because we do forget.
Like when I've been hypnotized or when I hypnotize somebody?
When you first saw it. So imagine you've never seen hypnosis before, and just imagine what it felt like when you first saw it. You probably went, how on earth is this happening? I can't even believe this. This is unbelievable, right? It's incredible, because it is. It's mind-blowing. The fact that I'm making somebody's hands stuck together is just amazing. And then just never forget that thought process, because that's what other people are thinking about. As Tyler said, we're the experts at hypnosis, and 99.99% of the population out there have no idea what's going on. The only other thing I would say is add some flair to it, you know, add some theatrics, add some personality to it. So I like to do this, like I'll stare people out and it freaks them out. And bystanders will say, what are you doing? This is crazy. Look at the way he's piercing his eyeballs through his eyes. Look how his eyes are controlling him. People will say that. Well, all I'm doing is an old trick that they've been doing that in the 1800s. The old posters of hypnotists, like their hypnotic gaze burning a hole into somebody. Just remember how that, you know, it's such a mysterious, compelling, and fascinating thing that we do. We can add that theatric, and I think you've probably just forgotten how easy, you know, it's so easy that it's taken the edge off, and it'll help you remember how mind-blowing it is.
Oh, gotcha, man. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Yeah. Thanks, bro. Really, really helpful.
Yeah. You know, one thing on that too is I'll just say that listen to what the bystanders are saying. Right, so there'll be people standing around, the bystanders, you know, like people watching.
Yeah.
So whether that's in the audience or whether that's like on the street, what I've learned to do is you'll hear people going, oh my God, this is crazy. And you can turn around to them and just look at them and say, you know, when you're right, you're right. When you're right, you're right. This is crazy. And you use their words and you spin it back. Because you're reinforcing this is crazy. You're spinning it back. You're pouring gasoline on your performance.
Gotcha, man. Yeah. I get what you're saying. It's basically a performance, basically.
It's an art form. What you're learning or what you're doing is an art. We are in the business of entertaining, right? So that's first and foremost. Whatever it is that we do has to be compelling, fascinating, and interesting. It has to have those three elements. We're in the business of show business, whether it's on the street or in a theater. We're in the business of show business. So it's almost like, you know, relish in the fact that you can blow them away, because that's what you're there to do. That is your job, if you will, is to blow them away with this like Jedi. You know, when somebody says this is mind control, you know, for years people used to teach you to like shy away from that. Oh, dude, you're doing mind control. And then what I've learned to say now, I just go, is it mind control? Is it? And it freaks them out and they go, oh my God, this is crazy. What is this guy doing? This is nuts. It just adds to the entertainment. Whereas we used to say, no, it's not mind control. No, I say, yes, it is.
In my work today, I try to hypnotize a friend. And the other friend, he just closed his eyes. Like, I don't want to even hear this. What are you doing?
I love it when when somebody says, and they probably have done already, I don't want to look in his eyes, right? I don't want to look in his eyes. Then it's a compliment. I don't want to look in his eyes. And then you can say, I wouldn't if I was you. Because I have that hypnotic gaze. If I was you, I would look away right now. I would look away.
I guess I'm too scary, I guess.
You know, you know, before you do a performance, just sit down and work out what persona you want to be, and then you play the role of the persona that you know that you want to be. Like for me, I want to make sure that whoever I run into knows that I have some kind of magical, mystical powers. I truly don't, as you know. I mean, I don't, but I want them to leave feeling like in awe, that they were like somehow inspired.
Yeah, I haven't done that yet. You know, I guess I haven't gotten to that part yet, because I use hypnosis. I learned hypnosis, NLP for many years now, to basically to make myself a better salesperson, to make more money, and eventually to coach people also and hypnotize and actually transform people's life. You know.
I actually work with real estate agents. I work with a lot of realtors, and I go to conventions, and it's kind of demonstrating hypnosis and NLP, and they always want to know the secret of selling more houses, you know, selling more properties. And the secret is unlocking the subconscious mind. So you can easily do a demonstration, and this is what made Anthony Gailey quite famous. And you do a demonstration that blows them away, because you're going to do the hands clasp or the finger lock, and they could be the biggest sales CEO in the world, and they're going to get their fingers stuck together, or they're going to get their hands. I mean, it's an amazing skill that we have.
Yeah, man.
We just forget we've got it. We forget we've got it. You know, when you walk out on a stage as a stage hypnotist, right? You don't have a drummer with you. You don't have a percussionist. You don't have a bass guitarist. It's you and random people that you've never met before. It's the ultimate demonstration of compliance that you'll ever see.
One thing on that, actually, Alan, so to tie in with your sales, are you familiar with Marczell Silver?
Who?
Oh, I love Marczell.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so Marczell Silver's a hypnotist, and he speaks at a lot of events. And I saw him at this one event, and let me tell you, I have never seen more engagement in a crowd than when a hypnotist is speaking from stage. Because this man was selling tickets to his event. I forget what it was called, and I noticed right from the start he would not move on until everyone was standing up. And only once he had 100% compliance did he continue. And what happened was he would keep continuing with this, right? So he's taking the concept of hypnosis that we do one-on-one with people and that we do with a few groups, and he's applying it to the whole crowd, making sure everyone's compliant. So then when he goes to the sale and he has people stand up and go to the back of the room, the people who are sitting down feel uncomfortable rather than the ones standing up, right? So sales and hypnosis are the same thing, dude. Same exact thing. You're just
that's what I think.
You know, I have there's a line from Marczell Silver, actually, and he's been doing it since the 90s. But he's you know, I'm in the business of persuasion, and each day in every way I'm getting better at it. So I'm in the business of persuasion. Each day in every way I'm getting better at it.
Yeah,
that applies to any aspect of hypnosis.
You should add another reinforcement to that statement.
Yeah.
All right, man. So we're gonna move on to Alan. I know he's been raising his hand for a minute. And what we're gonna do real quick, because we are running over a bit of time here, is we're gonna do rapid fire questions in the chat. Okay, so if you have a question that's been on your mind and you haven't been able to ask it, I know JT raised his hand before. Just ask a question publicly in the chat, and we can address that. But Alan, we'll leave it over to you for this last spoken question right
now. Me? I wasn't raising my hand.
I see the little hand symbol there. Maybe because we didn't lower it.
I didn't put it down from before. I had asked the question before.
Okay.
Lower hand. Sorry about that. I didn't know I could do that.
All good. Who haven't we heard from yet? We haven't heard from Bradley. We haven't heard from John. What's up, Anil? How are you doing, man? What's your question? You are muted right now, dude.
Basically, a doctor by profession, and I treat patients with cancer. I was just wondering how I can include hypnosis in my consultations so that they are more willing to go through the treatment, they are happy with the treatment, and they comply with the treatment.
Oof. That's a question right there, my friend. Holy moly. You know, would you be using it for comedic value to help them remove stress and anxiety before the treatment? I mean, what would be your purpose?
I think they are more believe that the treatment is going to work for them, and they believe that it's not going to be painful. Those kind of things.
Yeah. So in that context, yeah. In that context, what I would be inclined to do is, if you've got a new client or a new patient come in, I would be teaching them self-hypnosis, you know, self-empowerment, self-affirmation. So it might be as simple as, you know, taking 10-15 minutes, you know, sit in a chair, listen to my voice, take a deep breath in, close your eyes, and then you give them positive reinforcement and positive affirmations. You know, each day in every way, you're feeling better about yourself. Every time you breathe and every time you hear my voice, you'll always feel more relaxed. You'll push the aches, the pains, the worries and troubles away, and you'll just focus on getting healthier every day and the treatment. And I would go along those lines and teach them positive affirmations. So every time you're feeling stressed, just breathe in, close your eyes, and imagine the stress is melting away. Imagine it's just melting away, almost like ice is just melting. And imagine you feel more relaxed. And every time you feel stressed, you can reimagine what it felt like to feel relaxed. I would do that, and it would take 10-15 minutes, and encourage them to relax by one of the tricks to this is putting themselves back to where they already came from, right? So another thing would be, you know, to ask them, when was you in your lifetime the happiest or the most relaxed? They might say when they're on vacation or a holiday with their family, right? Close your eyes and just imagine you're back there. Just close your eyes and imagine you're back there on vacation, or you're back there on your wedding day, or the birth of your son, whatever that happy moment is. Just relive it. Put yourself back there, and that's going to help them, you know, have a more successful, you know, treatment.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, no worries.
Awesome. So I'm not sure if you see the chat right now, but we do have a few questions in there, Richard.
All right, let me have a look.
So you can just pick them, answer them, and yeah. So again, real quick before he addresses these questions, we're going to be wrapping up in a little bit. So if you have a question that was not yet asked for Richard, then drop it in the group chat, okay? And you can just pick with everyone you like.
All right, so the illusion or hypnosis is what you see, is magic is what you feel. Yeah, so that's a statement, and that's perfectly true. Where can we go to find out more info on the handshake drop techniques? Oh yeah, I do have an online academy. I don't know if you want me to even say this or mention this, Tyler, but
anything you want to offer them, or anything you have as a resource?
Okay, so I have an academy. It's called Hypnotist Stage Academy, and it's hypnotiststageacademy.com. There is an online class. There's like hundreds of videos on there. So that's where you would learn the handshake drop. But there's like about 9 or 10 different lessons just on holding a hand and just on dropping a hand, and it's very, very thorough. And it's hypnotiststageacademy.com. Recommendation could you give to speed our progress into hypnosis? And then it cuts off, and that's from, I think, Rory. Is that? Could you give to speed? You know, this is a good question. You know, success loves speed. And I see people procrastinating and just dragging their heels because they feel that they need to go on hundreds and hundreds of different training. They need to learn from everybody, which to a degree is right. But adults learn by doing, and you have to just go and do in order to experience what it is you did, and then learn from that experience. So for me, you just got to get out there. One of the easiest ways I feel is to get out there and do street hypnosis, because it's free. It's free to you, it's free to them. You can do it in your own time. You can do it on a Saturday, on a Sunday. You just find a busy location and you just start practicing your techniques. And you can do that as much as you want to do that. Ignore the failures and build on the successes. Not everybody's going to want to do it. But success loves speed. You know, tomorrow never comes if you're waiting for tomorrow. You just got to do it today, and take action. Question is regarding dementia. Looking to see if you can try this on someone who has attempted this. You know, hypnosis does not work for dementia at all, because dementia is a disease of the mind. And with hypnosis, we're asking people to have guided focus and guided relaxation. So in my experience, Parkinson's disease, dementia, and Alzheimer's really has no positive input with hypnosis. It does not actually have any impact, because usually the mind actually cannot follow the suggestions that you're giving them. So it's better just to help them relax, but they're not actually going to go into the critical faculties and the subconscious mind. So it does not work. What persons would you recommend in watching and studying? All right. You know, it depends on what style of hypnosis you're looking for, but I believe in modeling people that are doing today what you want to do tomorrow. So sometimes there's a lot of old news out there and sort of old videos and techniques that they're okay, but if they're not doing what you want to do, like, so for example, if you want to, you know, do college hypnosis shows, focus on the people doing college shows. If you want to do fairgrounds and festivals, follow the people that are doing fairs and festivals, and same with cruise ships, because they're all slightly different disciplines. I'm just trying to think who's out there pumping out some good content. Rich Guzzi, good content for comedy clubs, if you want to get into comedy clubs. Cruise ships, you could follow my channel. I got a lot of cruise ship videos out there. And I'm not sure on the fairground circuit, to be honest, but I would just go on YouTube and start looking at stage hypnosis videos. I know you've had Zach on. You know, Zach's pretty prevalent in the street world. He came out of, you know, come up there like a rocket. I mean, I mean, I didn't know who Zach was a couple of months ago, and I met him in Los Angeles, and he's just doing this. But you know, one thing that I noticed in looking at some of his stuff, he's got the confidence, man. He's unstoppable, and that's the key. And I know, Tyler, you do. And it's just having this unstoppable nature, and don't let anybody stand in your way, and just go for it. And there's lots of good videos out there, really, lots of good stage hypnosis videos out there. But just follow people that are actually currently uploading videos every week, that are currently doing hypnosis shows, and it's not old stuff. Recommend. I think I answered that one. I think I answered them all, didn't I?
Yeah, it looks like it. I did drop the link to Hypnotist Stage Academy there. I know our course covers a lot of high-level hypnosis stuff. So if you specifically are a stage hypnotist or want to get into stage hypnosis, I don't even know what's on this course, but just from knowing what Richard does and what he puts out there, I know for a fact if you're interested in that, you want to click on that link. And we do have one more question now from Josh, if you'd like to address that.
How would you go from being nervous around people to build super confidence? That's awesome. Thank you for the question. It's one of the biggest ones. I think that is a block and a barrier to overcoming. You know, the approaching people is one of the toughest things to do. So you have to be confident in the mind first for the body to follow through. And you know, what I've learned is what you tell yourself every day eventually becomes true, right? What you think about yourself inside externalizes to other people. So if you think that you're lacking in self-confidence inside, you lack self-confidence outside, and it shows. So one of the things I like to, you know, teach is positive reinforcement, self-affirmations. It's funny how animals respond to it, humans respond to it. It's just that positive reinforcement. One of the things you can do, being nervous around people especially, is just record 15 minutes worth of I am confident, I am wonderful, I am great, I am feeling, you know, happy and responsive with other people. I feel that I have an enhanced level of social interaction and skills. And you just record it. And it can be you or somebody else. And then what the mind believes it achieves, if it just keeps hearing it over and over and over again, the more you hear something, the more it actually becomes true. You just have to keep hearing it. And I think the mind actually changes nervousness into a success habit if it's being told enough times that you're in fact successful. It's almost like brainwashing in a positive way, and it works. Positive reinforcement. The hypnotic experiences. Oh my gosh. I've had some really bizarre You know, one of the things that really blew me away was past life regression. And are you teaching people hypnotherapy, Tyler, or is the group NLP?
So
or
I teach hypnosis from a high level, and I teach people how to think in the way that they can apply it in their own craft. So if you can come here, learn hypnosis, and apply it in your own way just by understanding the core concepts. And here's
awesome.
like more detailed stuff.
Awesome. Okay. So one of the experiences I had is I do you know, hypnotherapy consultations. I have a one-on-one clinical practice in New York City, and I get clients from all over the world flying in for hypnosis and hypnotherapy. And I had somebody that went into a past life while she was in the office. And it's always important that when you're actually, you know, doing a hypnosis one-on-one consultation, I always have a laptop there just to verify facts, to check and verify facts, that what they're saying is in fact true. And I believe hypnosis sessions should be a two-way flow of information, because when somebody's hypnotized, they've got a heightened sense of awareness. It doesn't mean that they just should be silent. They can talk back to you. But this lady had asthma, you know, difficulties in breathing, and she was asthmatic. And what was really cool about this situation was that her breathing difficulties were caused from her past life. And in her past life, she died in a fire in France. And she started speaking French once I regressed her back from this current life to a past life. Well, I can speak French. And so I understood what she was saying. When I Googled the facts, she had actually died in a fire in France. The fire was real. She had died in a theater trying to get out of, and she got smoke inhalation. So once we removed that scene and she actually escaped, she had no more asthma, no more breathing difficulties. So I found that just thoroughly amazing. And then when I do stage shows, I'm always amazed how seniors and older people can really move their bodies when they dance. It's just crazy. You give them these suggestions that they're world famous dancers, and all of a sudden they have these amazing dance moves. And then when the show's finished and you see them the following day, they're back to the walking sticks. They're back to their, you know, so it's, to me, it's a learned behavior to have a walking stick and to have like a you know, a stroller, because on stage they were dancing pretty good. And it's just because their mind has allowed their muscle tissue and limp and just, so they're able to dance and move, but then they feel their injuries and their issues again. But it opens up their mind to the concept of removing chronic pain, you know, reducing chronic pain. So that's some pretty wild stuff, Hopefully that answers it. There's two examples right there. Yeah.
Awesome, man. So we're going to wrap up here in about 4 minutes. We'll make this an hour-long call today. So if you want to say anything at all that's on your mind, just any general advice, or if you want to promote any social media accounts where they can find more content of yours. And before we do that, guys, in the call, just thumbs up if you're very happy that Richard's been here and if you've learned a lot from this call.
Thanks, guys.
All right, awesome. How about a thumbs up if you would like to, at one point in the future, see Richard back on for a Q&A call? Awesome. I noticed more people use 2 thumbs there, which is actually more thumbs than last time. The amount of people.
Awesome.
All right, man. So where can they find you?
So my website is incrediblehypnotist.com. Nice and easy. YouTube, youtube.com/Incredible Hypnotist. Facebook, Incredible Hypnotist. Instagram, Richard Barker Hypnotist. Very, very straightforward. Any of those channels, feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. I am going on a cruise on actually day after tomorrow for 2 weeks, but I always answer, you know, where I can. But parting advice to me is always what I tell anybody. If you have a burning passion inside your heart, and that burning passion is pushing you towards helping people or making people laugh, or, you know, using hypnosis in whatever way you want to, then don't wait until tomorrow, because it will be an injustice. You know, do it today. Just take action, because if you wait, you'll just wait. There'll be other excuses. But to me, it's all about throwing yourself in. No one's judging you. And you're already doing a way better job than anybody else right out the gate. So if you have a passion, you just got to follow your passion. You know, there's so many people stuck in jobs that they don't want to be in, and it takes them all their lifetime to realize that they're 5 years to retirement and they wish they weren't doing what they're doing. You just gotta, you know, if you feel that you're not doing what you should be doing, just make the change. And if you have a burning desire and a passion, you just have to follow it. You just have to go with it. I mean, that's my real advice, is that, you know, don't wait, because all of a sudden it'll be 5 years from now and you're still waiting. So just take action. Yeah.
Awesome. Beautiful piece of advice. Love it, man. Thank you so much for hopping on. Thank you for giving us your time and your insight to your mind, man. It was a pleasure speaking with you. And we are going to wrap up the call here. Now, usually I end the meeting when we wrap up. I'm not going to end the meeting just yet, because what we're going to do real quick is go through the chat. I dropped some resources as he mentioned them. Okay, so the last one is his website. You can also see Hypnotist Stage Academy if you're interested in that. And there's also a link to his book up top as well. So check all that stuff out. And before you leave, drop your email in the chat. You can send it to me privately, or you can just post it publicly, and we'll put you on the list to email you for future Q&A calls. But Richard, man, awesome talking to you.
Oh, and, anytime.
Yeah, I look forward to doing this again soon.
Yeah, and keep up the good work, Tyler. You're doing some awesome stuff out there for our industry. So I want to thank you. Keep up the good work.
I appreciate it, brother. Appreciate it,
awesome, man.
All right, guys, have a good one. You can all gradually hop off after leaving your email. I'm going to leave the room and just let this meeting keep running. And if you want, you can talk, mingle, whatever. But
I got to run.
See you guys on Saturday.
Richard, guys.
Thank you so much, man. See ya.
Take care. Bye. Cheers. All the best.
Yo, who wants to practice on hypnosis on each other? Yo, who's home? Somebody home?
I think Tyler is closing this call in a minute.
Hey, Karen, what's up?
I think this call will be closed in a minute, so I don't think it's
will it?
Opportunity to try to hypnotize each other.
Let's try anyways.
I'm gonna agree with Karen. I just heard that. I took off my headset, heard her say that. The only reason that's a bad idea is because if someone is being hypnotized and there's like a moment of change and the call drops, that'd just be really terrible. So we're gonna do more practices on Saturday when we have the Q&A call at 12. We won't be having a guest speaker this weekend. I'm gonna add your emails, and also for those of you who are still here, if you want to shoot me a message with a preferred guest speaker, like anyone that you look up to as a hypnotist that you would like to learn from directly, because right now we've had 3 huge hypnotists on, and just using their names we're able to get other huge hypnotists. Like we got Richard because he met Zach, and I'm a good friend of Zach's, and we're gonna use Richard's network and just expand from there. So no hypnotist is out of reach, which is pretty cool. So anyone you want to learn from directly, just shoot me a message and I'll start reaching out to them. But other than that, I'll see you guys Saturday. And yeah, no hypnosis. See you guys.
Yo, so is this thing is gonna close or what? Yo, what's good, Alan?
Yeah, I just finished doing all the download stuff. So.
Yeah, I did, bro.
All right, good. You wearing a shirt? What are you doing? Put a shirt on, dude.
Well, that's my shirt, man. It's a skin shirt.
Oh, okay. Anyway.
Why, man? It's okay, you know. Some nature didn't hurt nobody.
You got women on there. I should, women and children. You don't want to embarrass anybody. All right, dude. Good seeing you. I'll see you on Saturday.
Thank you, man. Alrighty, man. See ya, man.
Where are you from?
Originally Israel. Right now, I live
right now. Like, where do you live?
New Jersey.
Where in Jersey?
Piscataway. How about you?
Piscataway. I'm in Verona.
Where?
Verona. Just right
Yo,
down the.
time out. I heard you guys again speaking about New Jersey.
Yes, Tyler. You live in Jersey too. I know.
You're in Jersey, Alan. I didn't know that. Other Alan, I did know you went to town there. You know what could be cool is I'll be in New Jersey in January.
Cool.
Where? I'm coming to visit you, man.
You know where Wayne is, dude?
Yes, it's near my work. Yes.
Yeah, I'm next to Wayne, so we can do a little mini. Actually, I wonder how many people in Hypnot Secrets are from New Jersey. But it would be cool to meet in person. Maybe go out, hypnotize some people on the street, get some content for you guys, and for me as well. Yeah. So that could be something in the future. But I'm just taking these last 2 emails here. The reason why the call is still going on is because I want to get all these emails in before it's too late. But yeah, that'd be
guys.
Cool.
See you Saturday.
Yes, sir. Saturday at 12 o'clock, we'll be doing some live hypnosis practice again. And also, realization is that this call, we had the most people we've had on, and that's because I talked about it more than any other call. Wow, makes sense, huh? The more it's heard.
Emotion. What a concept.
Yeah, so I'm not going to be promoting I'll be promoting the Q&A calls just as much as they have, but for guest speakers, I'm going to be going hard. You guys will know about these guest speakers, so no one's going to miss them. But yeah.
Alrighty, guys. See you Saturday, guys.
Yeah, man.
I might not be on Saturday. I have a video shoot that I'm doing, so I might still be there. But if I can get on, I will.